Well, this week, a mock tribunal in Malaysia has found former President George W. Bush and former Prime Minister Tony Blair guilty of war crimes. The Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, which was formed at the request of former Malaysian PM Mahathir Mohamad, says that the two leaders are guilty of crimes against peace, referring to their invasion of Iraq back in 2003. Now, Mohamad was an outspoken critic of the Iraq invasion, calling Bush and Blair child criminals and war criminals after 103,000 Iraqi civilians died and millions were displaced or fled the country altogether. Now, to refresh your memory, the Bush administration wanted to invade the country after they said there were weapons of mass destruction found there. Although, as we all know by now, there weren't any WMDs. So for invading a country on faulty and false pretenses, the tribunal ruled that Bush and Blair's names should be included in a register of war criminals. And in a statement, they went on to say, the evidence showed that the drums of wars were being beaten long before the invasion. The accused, in their own memoirs, have admitted their own intention to invade Iraq regardless of international law. Now, Bush's memoir decision points, he admits that the news of no WMDs was sickening. However, he defended his decision to invade the country, saying that he thinks that the Iraqi people were better off without Saddam Hussein. Tony Blair's book, A Journey, gives a very similar viewpoint on the invasion, saying, I still believe that leaving Saddam in power was a bigger risk to our security than removing him, and that terrible though the aftermath was, the reality of Saddam and his sons in charge of Iraq would at least arguably be much worse. Now, this mock tribunal doesn't really carry any judicial weight. In fact, both of the men refused to attend the court's four-day hearing, not surprisingly. However, it is an attempt to hold Blair and Bush responsible for their actions. That's something which has been tried in vain all over the world. And not enough here. President Obama has decided not to prosecute former administration officials, and he's taken the line of looking forward and not back. But there were some attempts by politicians while Bush was still in office to get him out. Representative Dennis Kucinich led a group of politicians who attempted to bring Bush to justice back in 2008. The hearing held before the House Judiciary Committee brought 35 articles of impeachment against both President Bush and Vice President Cheney. And amongst them were faulty reasoning for the Iraq invasion, extraordinary rendition, and torture techniques.
Look at which intelligence was right but not used or acted upon, which intelligence was wrong and acted upon, and then go into who was it who helped shape the wrong intelligence and caused it to be acted upon. And that then, I think, will lead to a chain of events that inalterably, inevitably, must lead to people in very high positions in his government.
Now, in other countries like Spain and Switzerland, there's been much less hesitation to hold the Bush administration accountable for war crimes. In February of 2011, Bush had to cancel a trip to Switzerland after threats of prosecution. And in Spain, a court agreed to consider opening a criminal case against 6 former Bush administration officials, only to drop that case under pressure from the Obama administration, as a WikiLeaks cable revealed. So, while the Malaysian tribunal's decision won't necessarily carry any legal weight, I think it is a valid effort to hold Bush responsible for his actions and to let him know that the world has not forgotten.